Did you know that even some of the earliest LEGO castle sets had a defined setting? I'm making a video tying together the lore of all the castle sub-themes into one epic, multi-chapter chronicle. The backstories of castle and castle-adjacent themes like Knight's Kingdom, Heroica, and Nexo Knights cover hundreds of years of history. But when it comes to the overall setting of the wider family of themes, I wanted to explain some of the discoveries and assumptions I'll be making. Consider this a prelude of sorts as we set the stage for a world of buildable history and fantasy. Unlike Pirates, which has an established map that was used for years to place factions and sub-themes, Castle has only a few detailed maps limited to specific locations and storytelling eras, such as this map of the kingdoms of Morcia and Ancoria from Knight's Kingdom, and this map of the Western Kingdom from the 2007 fantasy era of Castle. There's no official map of the overall Castle world, though there are some very impressive fan creations out there. I particularly like this one, created by Reddit user Scarstream for including a number of locations mentioned throughout the history of the theme. The earliest and most important reference to a named location in LEGO Castle was an installment of the Captain Indigo comic in the spring 1984 issue of Bricks and Pieces, the UK LEGO Club magazine. Here the title character is sent back in time to the Kingdom of Avalon, home to factions that were later called the Lion Knights and Black Falcons. Avalon is a name that's both evocative and a little generic for a British LEGO publication. It's well known as the mysterious land where King Arthur went after his final defeat, but also very common across a lot of fantasy worlds. As a fan of LEGO lore, I'd originally chalked this up to a very specific localization, overshadowed by later castle stories. But as it turns out, this name may have a deeper significance than I had originally thought. A full 12 years later, in 1996, LEGO designer Christian Faber brought an ambitious idea to LEGO Futura, the LEGO Group's special product development department. In this sketch, posted on Faber's Instagram, titled A Big Idea, all LEGO themes take place simultaneously on different planets. This includes Planet Now, which would house the present-day town, Planet Pirates, and Planet Western. It also includes nods to earlier lines such as Ice Planet and Fabuland, as well as then current themes like Aquazone and Explorian. What's most interesting here is the name of the castle planet, Avalon with an E, just a slight variation on Avalon. Was this, like Fabuland, an intentional callback to the 80s? Was there some deeper story bible from LEGO itself that uses the name Avalon for this castle setting? It's possible that Faber was just coincidentally drawing on Arthurian mythology as well, but it's noteworthy that Avalon is the only planet with a name not directly derived from the theme it represents. While I haven't been able to find evidence that this map was officially released, it definitely informed the work Faber and the Advanced Advertising Agency did for LEGO during this period. The scenario Faber illustrates here, showing Shimon the alien traveling to a dragon-ravaged castle planet, was ultimately produced as a 1997 commercial for both lines. Just a year later, in the Insectoid Bible, shared here by Duckbricks, Faber referenced this event in the opening chapter where the castle planet is again called Avalon. Faber continued to revisit this conception of the LEGO universe as late as 1999, as we can see in this document glimpsed in another Duckbricks video. Here, the castle planet is unnamed, though it appears to have been rebuilt after being split in two by the dragon. In 2010, the movie The Adventures of Clutch Powers similarly included a castle planet, though here it is called Ashlar. Is this the same planet under a different name? That's up to you, the LEGO maniac, to decide. I had originally theorized that Ash could be taken as a reference to the planet having been rebuilt from the ashes of Avalon, but this is actually a very clever reference to a masonry term for a cut and dressed stone, essentially, a brick. Not bad, Clutch Powers writers, not bad. Now, in the universes where Castle is a distinct time and place on the LEGO equivalent of planet Earth rather than a planet unto itself, I'm a little more inclined to treat the Castle setting as a fictional island. But I am going to follow Faber's lead in using Avalon as the name for the overall widest possible setting of LEGO Castle, with Ashlar as a later but equivalent name. But there's certainly room for both interpretations across the broader LEGO multiverse, and the history we'll explore could equally apply to both. The next known major castle location was Torrenta, a valley kingdom first seen in story documents for a cancelled 1992 LEGO Castle comic. This was to be the home for all the castle factions active as of 1992. The Lion Knights, the Forestmen, the Wolf Pack, the Black Knights, and the yet-to-be-released Dragon Masters. The name was reused twice more in a free LEGO Castle board game, The Quest for Power, distributed through LEGO clubs and in-store giveaways in 1992, and in a pair of 1995 German audio dramas. The audio dramas incorporated some of the backstory from the older story documents and added the then-newly released Royal Knights to the mix. The home of the Royal Knights was said to be called Saxendale in the second 1995 issue of Bricks and Pieces. This actually works well with the story laid out in the audio dramas, as the King's Court was not in Torrenta, but in a region a few days away. The first wave of Knight's Kingdom sets from 2000 were said to be set near and in the Dark Forest, the home of the 1996 Dark Forest. With the similarities between the two kings' heraldry, it seems like a safe bet to assume that this theme is also set in Saxendale as well. The backstory for Knight's Kingdom also implied one or more kingdoms ruled by the bulls, an idea later expanded upon in LEGO Island 2. 2 video games provided locations for Castle: the 1998 LEGO chess game, which gave us the Kingdom of Chessland, which was shown to be near the Royal Knight's castle, while the 2020 game LEGO Legacy Heroes in Box retroactively added the land of Brixylvania to the biography of Basil the Batlord. In 1999, Legoland California opened with Castle Hill, a medieval-themed area that referenced several castle-related lines, with live shows building a unique mythology around the area. This included the Royal Knights, King Leo's Lion Knights, and later, the collectible minifigure Classic King, suggesting that all 3 groups occupied the same territory across several generations. Given this, I'm associating the area with the Royal Knights' Saxendale Kingdom and the Classic King's village Brixton from the 2022 book How to Be a Knight, as well as the original Yellow Castle, thanks to the lore established in the Classic King's biography on LEGO.com. In 2017, one of these live shows, King Leo's New Clothes, made reference to the 6 Kingdoms. Presumably, that's a tongue-in-cheek reference to the 6 Legoland parks then in operation, but I like the idea of using this to refer to the kingdoms in existence at that point in the LEGO Castle story. Also worth noting is Middle Zealand, the castle area featured in the LEGO Movie and the LEGO Movie 2 video game. While in the world of the film, this is a model on a table in a basement, and a world sharing borders with Bricksburg and Vladik's realm from the character's perspective, I'm assuming this kingdom has a counterpart in the overall LEGO Castle realm as well, just like the LEGO Batman and LEGO Ninjago movies have their own separate universes with parallel locations. Of course, the regions with the most extensive mythologies are the kingdoms of Morcia and Ancoria from the second wave of Knight's Kingdom, the Western Kingdom from the 2007 castle sets, and Knighton from Nexo Knights, all with their own maps with regions and provinces. Now, hold on, yes, I know what you're thinking. I'd also assume that Nexo Knights was solidly in its own crazy universe somewhere. But, as it turns out, not only is it set on a version of our world, the book The Knight's Code, a trading guide, has an extensive backstory set solidly in the medieval era, over a millennia before the futuristic fusion of knights and technology seen in the theme and cartoon show. This backstory even corresponds nicely with some of the other castle mythology. So as disconnected from the main castle setting as some of these later themes may seem, they are connected to the overall LEGO Castle story through small references and other connections made over the years. And of course, the story of LEGO Castle continues to be expanded upon through new releases like the Lion Knight's Castle, Medieval Town Square, and multiple models in the Bricklink Designer program. There's a lot more yet to cover. If you liked hearing about the world of LEGO Castle, please like and subscribe to this channel for future LEGO lore videos, and check out the Patreon to get additional content and have your name in the credits of every video. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more LEGO Castle lore very soon.